Hello, I'm Verlaine Crawford. I'm really happy to be back with you today. And this is episode 3 of me going through some of the things that have happened in my life and also using them as examples of how you can open up your mind and heart to create what you want in your life, to manifest the desires of your heart. I said in my last video that I would start with talking about the different parts of us that are stopping us from having what we want in our lives. But what I'd like to tell you is that first, a little bit more about my story, because I think it's fascinating to see how our intuition guides us. Your intuition is your spiritual connection to the universal flow of knowledge. That's what it is. That's how it was supposed to be when we came to this planet, that we knew that we were connected to spirit at all times. That way we wouldn't have to be afraid. We'd know where to be. We'd know what to do. For me, it's easy to kind of think of it in terms of angels, because obviously the power of God or the full universe would be too much for us to handle in our physical bodies. And so I like to think in terms of God and the universe, this incredible power that created all things, being a giant power plant. And in order for us to utilize the electricity that is generated by that power plant, it has to have transducers that come down through huge wires. And you see those sometimes in the middle of a parkway or something, that you have these large poles holding these very thick tubes. And then those transducers in those particular areas along on those poles are another group of transducers that transduce it down to be able to come into your house so that you can utilize that energy in a way that is less powerful, but appropriate for lighting a light bulb, running your appliances, etc. So that's what I think of the angels being the transducers, and it works for me. I think it might work for you. They are not what you would call ETs, not from my point of view. They are not extraterrestrial people that are talking to us, although that's possible. Often what our guardian angel is in a being of light that is receiving that information. And the way they've described it to me is it's almost like a screen on a mainframe computer. The screen only shows what the huge computer and more of our personal computers and our laptops are as powerful as the old mainframe computers. And so that screen is actually the way in which we get the information, which in this case, I'm calling angels. So it appeared to me that as a child, I had a connection with that. My mom used to say, you can see the leaves on trees when the trees are bare. I had sense of people. I couldn't make sense of it for me because nobody talked about it, right? And you may remember times like that you had a feeling that you had an invisible playmate, or that you had different thoughts and ideas that maybe about someone being sick or someone having an accident, different things that came to mind that had no particular reason for doing so. So those are psychic and intuitive information coming through to you. When I've given talks in different areas about intuition, it's amazing. I did it once at the Newport Beach Yacht Club, of all places. And many of the people that were there for that talk were older gentlemen, okay? And very sweet people. And they listened intently. And after the talk, several came up to me and said, I've had things like that happen to me. I've known things and it's saved my life sometimes. But I've never told anybody about it. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? Isn't it a shame that they never tell anybody about it? Because then nobody knows, and the young people don't learn about it. And so they go off not knowing that they're connection and that they have an incredible ability to maneuver through this world with that spiritual guidance, with that help. Now you say, oh, you must be very religious. I believe in God, of course. I say, of course, because as someone who studied the universe as an astrologer, and I mean, it's not astrologer, that too, but astronomer, and loving the whole cosmic story that is out there. I mean, it's too amazing to think that it just happened by accident. Okay. That's my thought. And they're looking at a baby or a beautiful bird or an elephant, a puppy. It's just too miraculous. I was going to say majestic, but you can't put majestic with miraculous. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that you're connected. And I have had the good fortune to have some wonderful guidance. Also, I've had times when I didn't pay attention. So the story I want to tell you right now followed my going to Europe. I came back. I've debated whether to tell this part, but I ended up living in the Hollywood Hills with a group of people. They had the rooms that they were renting out, and they were wild. And I found out I'm not. And I took they gave me some marijuana. Well, it must have been laced with something, because I ended up running down the street in Hollywood, the Hollywood Boulevard. And they followed me in a car and got me in the car and everything. So it made me, I don't know what, paranoid, crazy, whatever at that moment. And of course, that has now eliminated for me any kind of drugs, because I don't trust it. And I don't experience, I experienced plenty of out-of-body psychic experiences without drugs. Okay, luckily me. And I really would suggest that you pay attention to that, especially with the fentanyl coming on. I mean, it's just terrible that they're lacing what look like ordinary pills with poison that I didn't realize can kill you with one pill. Unbelievable. So enough of that. I got out of that situation. I was in an apartment by myself, and I was working, as I mentioned before, placing ads in television shows. And I got this intuitive thought to go to the passport agency. Go to the passport agency. I have a passport. I just got back. What do you mean? Go to the passport agency. I hear again. It became very intense. I don't know if you saw the movie Ghost, but in there, Whoopi Goldberg is talking. She's supposed to be on getting information from the other side, and she keeps going, repeating to do something. And in this case, it felt very similar. So, all right. So I called my mom. I didn't have a car at the time. I was riding the bus in the Hollywood area. And because I hadn't bought a car since I came back from Europe. And I called my mom and said, I have to go to the passport agency. And she said, why? I said, I think I'm getting a job there. That's the only thing I could think of. And she said, okay. And the next day was Monday, and it was raining. Very little rain usually in the Southern California area, but it was really pouring. And so she called and she says, well, you probably don't want to go today. You should go tomorrow. And I said, no, we have to go today. We have to go today. I didn't know why. I didn't know. So we drive through this pouring rain, traffic, going downtown Los Angeles to this huge building where the passport agency is. And I go there and I said, I'm here to get a job, to the person at the front desk. And she said, oh, yes, they're hiring for summer. This is March, so they're hiring for the summer when people are coming in for passports. Okay. So I went down the hall. I signed up with this lady to to come in and then took a test, very simple test. And so they then called me and said, yes, you're going to start next week. And when I was leaving that office, the interesting thing happened. She said, and there's a young man there that you're going to enjoy meeting. People don't say that, right? Now, what I didn't preface all this with was the fact that I had asked and written down, I want an honest man in my life. I want someone I can trust who is honest. Why? Because as a young girl in Hollywood, I had so many men lie to me. It was terrible. 99.9% of them were married. Those that weren't, basically are just using a young girl. And so it was really upsetting. And I was really tired of it. So I wrote down, I want an honest man, not believing that there were any at that time. So I go back and I go into work and I'm signing in like you're supposed to do for this new job. And I feel some heat on the back of my head. And I turn around and I look in this very handsome young man's eyes. And it was like he pierced my head. I just felt this energy. And he was really cute, very sweet guy. And about 2 or 3 days later, he was in the cafeteria sitting alone. And so I said, can I join you? And so we started talking. And he had gone to Europe with some buddies after college for a whole summer. And that was in 1966. I had gone in 68. It was now 69. And so that was our conversation, talking about Europe from the beginning, and just got into it and talking about what we thought about, what he was doing and so forth. And so we had many lunches together. And then finally a date, which he took me to where did we go? I think it was a Iranian club that had dancers, which was fun, and he's Italian. His family was from Sicily, and second generation Italian, and just super guy. Okay. And so we dated and got to know each other and cared about each other. And we've been together basically, even though we had a time of separation, which I'll tell you about that also, but we were together 15 years, we were apart 15 years, and we were back together over 20 years. So basically it's been from 69 till now is 53 years of loving John Teressi. He's an artist, a designer, a best-selling author, really incredible person. And he has given me so much encouragement and God, just a feeling of I can do anything. And he approves, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And so I say that my intuition led me to my soulmate. And please listen to that intuition, even if it sounds crazy, like going to a passport agency when you have a passport and you even have a job, but thinking, well, maybe that's what it's about, But of course, I didn't stay there that long. He was there because he was going to 2 colleges at once to avoid going to Vietnam. And God, we just had so many interesting experiences doing our own business, doing advertising together, just fascinating. And there's more to talk about that. So that's that story that I wanted to share, because it shows to me and to the people I've told it to that what you desire is there. Okay, it's possible. It's possible. But the arrangement of allowing it to happen and to be there for it is really taking the time to relax into yourself, say what you want, write it down, and then move forward. Now, many times we hear people say, well, you've got to be in love with yourself before you meet someone to love. Well, I wasn't that much in love with myself. I was pretty upset with myself for getting into that arrangement or that situation in Hollywood. I was basically in the clouds a lot. I mean, things were getting less real for me without drugs, okay? That's why I never take any, because if I got any further out, that would not be helpful. I wouldn't be here on the planet to do my work. So he helped ground me. And that there are so many ways in which another person, whether it's a lady friend that you encompass in your life, or a love person that is going to be your partner, no matter how you set it up or how the universe sets it up, there's somebody there to help you be all you can be. Okay? You don't have to have it. It's possible to go up and into a new realm of consciousness by simply being in nature or meditating, or many different ways of doing it. But it is awfully nice to have it in terms of someone physically, personally involved in your life with you. So that's what happened next. And you know what? I think I'm going to leave it there. I have to look at all the things that have happened. I will touch on this idea of many different parts of our being. I didn't learn about it until another episode. All right. And the next episode, I guess, will have to be to tell you about being stabbed in a parking garage in Los Angeles when I was working for a really super duper ad agency, and going back home to Carmel and going into therapy, but then going to a class, and it was neuro-linguistics programming. They call it NLP. And it was a weekend class. And he told us he was going to do an integration technique on the second day, and asked if anyone would like to volunteer. And I raised my hand, and he chose me, which was so fortunate. And he then showed me, or took me through, an integration technique, which became a major part of the healing of my life. And that is what I really want to concentrate on. But I want to tell you some of these stories that led up to it so that you can get a context. To me, it's like just telling you what the story is, or telling you the ingredients of the story and the ingredients of how to do this project, how to do what you need to do to bring these parts of yourself together. That, without the stories, may not sink in. You understand? It's like, it's so important. In the Bible, with Jesus, they talk about it being parables, right? What are parables? Stories. The stories that help you to see how it works, so you can identify with it in your own life, in your own story. Because there's many things you can do wrong. I did them. Believe me. I dated so many guys. It was crazy. And then I decided, no, this is not the way to find love. The way to find love is to go back into yourself and find out who you are, not in terms of I'm going to really understand my spiritual self and my center being and my soul. No, I couldn't do all that at that time. I didn't have that ability. All I had was knowing that I love honesty. I love truth. I love people that are able to express in a way that is creative. There's so many different things that you need to have in your life. You can't just have a handsome guy or beautiful girl and have a wonderful life. You've got to have various things in that person who mirror what you love, okay, and what you love to do. Otherwise, you're doing it all alone anyway, right? Because if you love to do a certain, let's say you love going to museums and looking at art, okay? If the guy doesn't like doing that and he wants to be off working on cars, you're both still doing your same thing. Yes, a guy might like to look at cars and he might want to work on cars, but he also might love art. But if it's completely separated, if he loves riding motorcycles and you couldn't stand motorcycles and they scare you and it scares you to have him ride them, you don't want that. Okay. So there's so many different aspects, and lifestyle is so important. And that's what John and I have. That's why it's just so fun to be with him, because it's just so the variety. Because my mind, I'm looking at politics, I'm looking at science, I'm looking at education, I'm looking at health. My one of the things I study a lot is about health and alternative health measures and regular medicine, and all these things. I'm fascinated with a lot of things. So it'd be very hard. In fact, when I was dating, I had I would have a boyfriend that liked art. I would have a boyfriend that liked cars. I had a boyfriend that liked science. I mean, it was really funny because I had like this entourage, okay? Except they weren't all together at the same time. Well, maybe a couple of times that happened. It was fun, but I don't recommend it. I only recommend that you, as quickly as possible, find the person that feeds you. And oh dear, that could get me in trouble, right? It's really fascinating what life is all about. And I love you guys. And I just really, really want you to be able to have a super life. And we'll talk about getting these different parts of us together that are fighting within you so that we can end the battle within. I think this is long enough. And thank you for watching. Have a great day. Love you. Bye-bye.